What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is iRate Reviews, the show where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my impressions, and let you know whether it's something to go back to the shop for or not. So make sure you subscribe to get more of these every single week. The book that I'm going to be talking about is Batman number 34. So Batman number 34 by Tom King with art by Joelle Jones is pretty excellent. I mean, when we're talking about this is rules of engagement. So post Selina and Bruce engagement, this is the story about their journey. First, it's probably going to be to clear Catwoman's name. It's to talk to Talia Al Ghul to settle any kind of conflicts there. And there's going to be a whole lot of development over the rest of Tom King's run on Batman regarding Selina and Bruce. But let's just dive right into Batman number 34. The way that we open this up is actually kind of unique because not only do we get no idea what kind of context they're in, but we get this really great back and forth between Selina and Bruce where she says, that looks like a lot. And it's just like, well, I've seen more. And, you know, then you get this very relationshipy vibe where if you've ever talked to your girlfriend or your wife or something along those lines, and then you've said something that you know is wrong and then you immediately try to backpedal, that is the kind of conversation that Bruce and Selina have throughout this entire issue. So, you know, you've got these great close-ups, you've got the next page where you've got this splash of Batman in his desert Batman armor, and then he's surrounded by these, you know, kind of Middle Eastern sword-wielding assassins, and then Selina's got this great whip kind of pose in her outfit, and everything just looks fantastic art-wise. But as we kind of get into this, we get some various banter back and forth between the two characters as they're just whooping ass in the middle of the desert. Batman draws some conclusions about these would-be combatants, saying that, you know, they don't have any tongues because their jaw bounces weird off his knuckles when he hits them, and Selina, you know, makes some kind of snide and sarcastic comments about Batman, and, you know, she's like, oh, you are in some kind of trouble, as he, you know, tells her that she looks lovely as a way to kind of cover up for any kind of verbal faux pas that he's had. And then we see Talia getting prepared for this kind of conflict between her and Batman in the most casual of manners. You know, she's wiping down her sword, she's communicating with the underlings through their various captains and those kind of things, and she's making various comments on the unfortunate nature of Selina Kyle being in a relationship and being betrothed, you know, to be wed to Bruce Wayne. So at this point in time, we see everything kind of pan out. You know, Bat and Cat are kind of lying on the ground. She makes a pretty cool, pretty fun comment about, you know, the most dangerous woman in the world, as she's, you know, like laid waste to all these kind of would-be assassins. And, you know, Batman's pulling a knife out of his forearm. As Talia shows up, you know, she's like, do you have a sword? And Batman's like, no. She's like, get one. So she's just very much a person of power throughout the entirety of this portion of the story. And she's controlling the entire situation. Batman's trying to be logical and those kind of things and just say, hey, we want to talk about Holly Robinson. She murdered a lot of people. She blamed it on Catwoman, those kind of things. And then we'll leave, which just triggers, you know, Talia Al Ghul just that much more because that's what he did to her. He just came, they had a kid, he left. So it's just like, there are some unresolved issues here, which are just going to be fantastic. And then what we do is we end the story after Talia Al Ghul stabs Bruce Wayne's Batman in the back and then calls on Selina to take up his place and to, you know, fight for this man, or for herself at this point in time, and she grabs the sword out of Bruce's back, which is probably going to make him bleed out in the middle of the desert, but it looks super cool, and it's just this great bit of art where we're going to see Talia Al Ghul and Catwoman fighting with swords in the desert in next issue. But that's really where we leave off with this one. So what we're talking about in terms of the story, the rules of engagement, is all about the progression of kind of freeing Selina from her previous reputation and the crimes that she was admitted to Arkham for. Because you got to remember, she got pulled out of Arkham a long time ago, back in like early Batman issues, after being accused and, you know, accused and convicted of all these various murders that were committed by Holly Robinson. And that's just like, this is Bruce Wayne, Batman's journey to kind of free himself and free the woman that he loves from their kind of fates at this point in time. So it's a very cool kind of concept, and I really like it. I feel like the pacing of this one is just a touch quicker than what we got in War of Jokes and Riddles, and it's kind of playing towards a little bit more of Tom King's strengths. I like the banter, I like the conversation that's going on between, you know, Catwoman and Bruce, and then, you know, the purposefulness. There's a very distinct voice to Talia Al Ghul in this writing, and then Joelle Jones's art is just phenomenal. I love the design for Catwoman, I love the Desert Batman, I dig Talia Al Ghul. There's just one single frame of just her mouth that is just like, it's just like an angry mouth, and it's just like, it looks good and you're frightened of it at the same time. So I'm just really enamored by, you know, this story arc and how it's kind of being portrayed. I don't necessarily know if I would consider it a strong arc, because a lot of Batman, you know, under Tom King, you can't really consider strong until you get all of the pieces kind of put together, but it definitely kind of harkens back to the long game that he's been playing since the beginning of this particular book. And I'm really excited about this section that was in the middle point where you have Superman kind of in conflict with Damian and Dick Grayson's Nightwing, and they're kind of out in front of this entry, and Superman's just like, you can't go in there, and Damian's like, I would kill you with magic. I would, draw a circle on the ground, make a pointy star, blood my soul, and then, all of a sudden, bam, you're dead. And, that's what I would do. And Superman's just like, yeah, man, I swear you probably would, but then you wouldn't be able to play with your buddy. He probably wouldn't want you to have killed his dad. And Damian's like, and you can tell he's just like a frustrated, demonic 11-year-old or whatever age he is. But overall, I really enjoyed everything about this. Batman number 34, I definitely think you got to go back to Batman number 33 so that way you got a little bit more context as to how we got into this story. But the arc overall is something that I'm going to recommend just because I'm really enjoying this overall. Definitely a recommendation from me, but I want to know what you guys think too, because those are my comments, those are my thoughts, but I want to know what you guys think, so hit me up in the comments down below so we can start a conversation about this book. If you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.